Welcome to this deep dive. We're tackling some really complex source material today, all trying to pin down, well, what magical significance actually is. And maybe let's start with a bit of a warning. It comes via Fahrenheit 451 from Valerie. The folly of mistaking a metaphor for a proof, a torrent of verbiage for a spring of capital truths, and oneself as an oracle is inborn in us. So our job here is to, cut through that potential verbiage, to really distill where these sources say significance lies. It's quite philosophical, definitely pushes past the common ideas.
Right. And if there's one thing to grab onto straight away, it's this. The first provisional statement makes it pretty clear. Magical significance. It's overwhelmingly found in process, not in objects, not really in fixed beliefs, or even like final outcomes. It's how you engage, how you get there, not what you end up holding.
Okay, process. Let's dig into that. The sources talk about needing a fundamental recognition first, a mental shift. What are we supposed to be recognizing?
Yeah, it's basically two key things you need to really get. First, that what we call objective reality. Well, it's largely illusory. It's not this solid, predictable thing our culture drills into us. And second, recognizing the universe itself is inherently fantastic. Magical, even. That's the starting point for the internal work.
Illusory reality. That sounds like serious mental heavy lifting. If the outside world isn't quite real, what does that mean for the self?
Yeah.
For who we are?
Exactly. That's the absolute core of the challenge described. You have to transcend the sort of fake, culturally programmed self, the one built on what everyone else expects, and then you replace that fictional self with one you build directly from your own immediate, unfiltered experience. It's a journey into what the sources term pre-material consciousness, kind of the self before all the layers get at it.
Wow, okay, that sounds incredibly difficult. But why?
Yeah.
Why go through that intense internal transformation? How does that connect to magic?
Because magic, in this view, isn't some external trick. It's the natural result, the expression of that fundamentally changed mind. If you shift your internal reality, your ability to act in reality changes too. So magic gets defined as, a deep exploration of nature, or sometimes just the outcome of long, focused training. It's described as the recognition and the willed manipulation of force.
Right, and the examples are interesting too. It's not all, grand mystical stuff. Sure, there's talk of spirit writing and flame on the air, but the material also explicitly mentions something as seemingly simple as blowing out an electric light. So it covers this huge range from the poetic to the, practical execution of learned skill.
Precisely. And the so what of it all. The second provisional statement really emphasizes this. Magic primarily creates change in the mind of the person doing it. And then that person acts differently in the world because their perspective, their internal landscape has shifted. So magic becomes this impulse towards realizing your true self, sorting the false from the real. And a big part of that is refusing to just accept external hierarchies or someone else's authority telling you what's true.
Okay, that connects the dots. Internal process leads to external action, driven by that changed mind. Makes sense. But then, why do the sources suddenly bring in specific places? If significance is mainly internal process, why mention, say, Chichester?
That's a fascinating link they make. Significance can be purely abstract, sure, like grasping the unity of time and timelessness, or apprehending pure being, no form, no activity. They call that gnosis or illumination. It's like pure awareness, thought-free realization, very internal.
But right alongside that, you get these very concrete locations. Chichester as a center of a metaphysical cross, Cairns Forest, even carvings on a church porch in Bakewell or Kingly Vale. How do those fit in?
It seems these places are highlighted because they act as potential catalysts or anchors for that process of recognition. They aren't inherently magical things in themselves. Instead, they are points in the physical world where the practitioner might find it easier to enter the required state. To facilitate that gnosis or internal shift, they ground the abstract concept.
Okay. So they're tools, maybe doorways into the process rather than the location of significance itself.
Right.
Which brings us back to awareness, doesn't it?
It does. It loops right back. The ultimate synthesis, really, drawn from the second and third provisional statements, is that significance lies in recognizing that every act is a magical act, because every single thing you do flows from a mind. And that mind has either consciously worked to transcend its conditioning, or it hasn't.
And achieving that kind of recognition, according to the sources, means pushing back against what they call them, the self-appointed arbiters of objective truth.
Yeah. It involves actively manipulating information, shaping creative possibilities, and moving beyond the limits of what's called alien and illusory reason.
Which leaves us with a pretty potent question for you, the listener, to think about. If this framework defines conventional reason as potentially illusory, what limitations imposed by that conventional reason might you be accepting right now without question as absolute truth?